Last week on this podcast, I told you to embrace change. I definitely embraced change. And today I'm going to change everything up again. We're going to do two things we normally don't do on the podcast today. Why? Why not? Because we can do that. Number one, we are going to review one of the first episodes of the Saturday Morning Hustle podcast all the way back 2017, but it's still one of the highest rated, most listened to, most downloaded episodes. And then number two, I'm going to tell you about a few other podcasts I've been a guest on recently and recommend you listen to them as well as the Saturday Morning Hustle. So let's get it started. It's Saturday. We're in the office. We hustle on Saturday because we know the next big thing does not happen 9 to 5, and that next level is not Monday through Friday. You got to earn it even on the weekend. So two things we're going to discuss today. We're going to review a previous episode, actually episode number 4 of the Saturday Morning Hustle, all the way back from 8/12/17. But it's one of the most listened, most downloaded episodes. It's a great topic, which is everyone is not your client. It's a great topic. So I'm going to talk about that briefly here, and then I'm going to play the 7-minute podcast. It was an early podcast. It was a shorter version. I'm going to play that for you and then come back again. We're going to have a conversation about what it all means and how it relates to you. Also, the second half of this conversation, what I'm going to do right now is tell you about some other podcasts I've been a guest on recently that I think you should check out. You can find value from and appreciate and get a different perspective than the typical Saturday Morning Hustle conversation. So number one, I'm wearing their t-shirt today. It's the Defining Moments podcast. I got this great gift over here, the great, awesome Oklahoma cutting board for my friends, Wong and Margie at the Defining Moments podcast. They interviewed me recently. They put that episode up this week, an hour-long conversation, deep. They went deep and wide into my background, where I come from, how I grew up, how I do what I do, or the Saturday Morning Hustle podcast and the Strategic Growth podcast for the Golden Group, my consulting business, my role models, what I'm most proud of, questions people never ask me, etc. So I definitely want you guys to check out the Defining Moments podcast. The links are in the show notes or on the social media today. So go check that out as well after you listen to the rest of this podcast. Also, I just mentioned it, the Golden Group Strategic Growth podcast, my business podcast. I mentioned it on this podcast a lot. There's definitely some great episodes recently of that. So how you find my business conversation, my very business conversations with my business partner Pritchard, is on the Saturday morning, the Strategic Growth podcast. I almost confused them. So check that out as well. Again, links will be in the show notes and on the social media today. The Project 3810 podcast. I've been a guest on a couple of episodes with a group of people, but I was the guest on episode 7 from June 1st, specifically talking about the differences between marketing and advertising. So an interesting conversation, another shorter podcast episode. So if that's a topic that interests you, check that out as well. And again, links will be in the show notes and on the social media as well. And another bonus for you is I did a behind the scenes of a Zoom panel I was on. I was on a Zoom panel for the Oklahoma Media Network for talking about podcasting for podcasters, podcasting for professionals. I was one of 3 experts on the panel, along with a moderator, having a very good, deep discussion about the value of podcasting. So the behind the scenes and my part of that panel is on YouTube as well. Again, links in the show notes and on the social media. And I was interviewed for the Media Champions series of interviews with media experts. That happened on 7/21. And so that is on the Golden Group YouTube channel and on my YouTube channel under the interview playlist. So those are 4 other podcasts I think you should check out, feature me in interviews and conversations, but have a similar but different approach to the Saturday Morning Hustle. So if you like what you hear on the Saturday Morning Hustle, I think you will appreciate those podcasts as well. But now let's circle back to the topic of episode number 4, one of the first, episode number 4 of the Saturday Morning Hustle podcast, which was 8/12/17. That's right, all the way back 2017, practically 5 years ago this week. The most listened to, the most download, the most hits of all the Saturday Morning Hustle podcast episodes is everyone is not your client. How to specialize, how to focus, etc. The keynote being the need to focus and not trying to make everyone a client or customer. When it comes to business, you need to focus, you need to specialize. You can't have everyone be your client. The line I like to give in presentations is, unless you're selling oxygen, everyone is not your client. And businesses can make huge mistakes, really cost them a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of frustration, potentially may even harm or cripple their business if they attempt to sell their product or service to everyone. You can't appeal to everyone. You have to focus and specialize. And the mistake business owners often make is they're afraid when they specialize that they're missing some opportunity. But what they don't realize is they're not spending their team budget, right? Time, effort, attention, and money, team, on audience that can't or won't or can't be motivated to do business with them. So there's no reason to try to sell luxury items to people who can't afford them. There's no reason to try to sell fast food to people that are not in your geographical region. There's no reason to sell things that are specific and specialized to people who don't engage in those specialties. There's no reason to sell things that attract certain things to people who are not attracted to them. I want everyone to know about our business. I want everyone to like us. I want everyone to have their attention is a huge waste of time and money. So I'm going to play you now the 7-minute episode from 2017. I will come back after that and follow up that conversation, wrapping up this episode of the Saturday Morning Hustle. We're changing everything because we're embracing the change. It's the conversation we had last week. I changed, the podcast changed, and maybe you changed as well. So here is the 2017 episode, Everyone is Not Your Client. Enjoy.
And the topic that came up in the last 2 events, we had a full event and a small event within the last 2 weeks. Something I said I found would be very simple, and people reacted to it immediately, which was, everyone is not your client. Sounds simple, but think about it. Too many people who own and run businesses think that they need everyone to like them, to know about them, and to want to buy their product or service. Well, that's false. That won't help you in the long run. Number one, you can't facilitate them all. Number two, the cost of trying to reach and influence everyone would be astronomical. So instead of trying to make everyone love you and want your product or service, focus on the core audience that's going to be most likely to not only purchase from on the first time, but do it again and again and again. Maybe even appreciate what you do and how you do it so much that they'll become brand evangelists for you, going out in the world telling other people, you need to be going to this restaurant, you need to be drinking this beer, you need to hire this guy to help you with business. These are the type of things that you have to focus on. Not, well, maybe these guys will like it, or those guys over there might be into it, or this group of ladies could be good, let's get in front of them. That dilution of your message and delivery, the effort and economics that go behind it, eventually actually puts you backwards. It rolls you the wrong direction because you dilute yourself. You get a single flicker in front of someone. They don't have enough time to take it in. They're not engaged because they don't care. It's not something they're looking for. Not something they're trying to buy or engage in. And it's wasted. And those wasted dollars ultimately become the success or failure of your company because none of us have billions of dollars to throw around. Even the largest brands in the world, Apple, Nike, Budweiser, etc., can't say everyone is their audience. They have to curtail it down to people who are very specifically into what they do and how they do it. They have competitors who do things in a different way, and people are drawn to it. And the key here it is, the hint. You've got to be good with the idea. You have to accept with yourself that your competitors will take a segment of the market. But it's usually the segment of the market that you couldn't have attracted anyways. It's not that they chose you over them. They chose them over nothing or something completely different. So don't get focused on someone else is making money in a way I could if I wanted to, and only focus on how to make money, i.e. draw clients to you who do create transactions that are specifically how you offer something the way you do it that is your strength and the opposite of your weakness. You're going to have competitors that their strength is your weakness. They're going to beat you in head-to-head competition. Let them have it. Let them develop that audience. You only develop the audience that's going to come to you naturally for the right reasons, authentically, and will then stay with you because you met the expectations created in your marketing, advertising, etc.
There you go. The flashback episode from 2017, episode 4 of the Saturday Morning Hustle, having a conversation about not everyone can be your client, and you shouldn't waste your budget team time, effort, attention, and money on people who can't, won't, and are unable to be a customer client of yours. So this is why we all aren't out running Super Bowl ads. It's very expensive and hard to do, hard to manage, and not beneficial. If you want to be successful with your business, if you want your nonprofit to work correctly, if you want your event to be successful, whatever it is, that you need people's attention and then conversion of the process. Get them from attention to attraction to an actual, here's my money, or whatever it is, that your transaction that you require, whatever conversion process you need in order for what it is you're doing to pay off, to be successful. In order for that to be the way it needs to be, to have positive return, positive ROIs, etc., you have to be specialized, you have to be focused. You can't have everyone be your customer client. You need the most likely to say yes, the highest possibility of conversion, the person, the situation, the group that will, you grab their attention, hold their attention, attract them, and then convert them in a sales process. Anyone else, everyone else, it's not that you dislike them. It's not that you don't want to do business with them. You just don't spend time, money, effort, attention, team, time, effort, attention, money to attract them through your marketing. If they hear about you, if they find out about you, if they're referred by a friend, if they accidentally stumble in the front door, fantastic, great. Do business with them, as long as, of course, what their expectation that you're providing them is what you provide them, and they'll be happy with that transaction. That is good. That's gravy. We take that all day long. But we spend our budget on people most likely to say yes, not just once, but yes in a way that they will appreciate how we do business. We can do business with them a second, a third, a fifth, 100th time, because every time we do business with them, additional from the first time, is more profitable, more beneficial, and we create the ability for them to refer others, to lend their trust factors, and to become brand evangelists, etc. So repeat business is the most profitable. There's no better selling point than a referral. And ultimately, if someone tells you, I do business with these people, whether it's buying a product or securing a service, and I put my money there, you should too. That is the most effective marketing tool. You can't outwork that with advertising or even public relations or other trust factors. So building an audience that you can sell to continuously, that will then refer to you. So repeatable business, sustainable business, and bankable business. That is where real success comes from. It's where real profitability comes from. And ultimately, profitability is what makes you able to be successful. So that was an interesting episode of the podcast today. I hope you enjoyed the flashback episode. I hope you will also check out the 4 episodes that I referenced earlier as well, that I'm a guest or I'm a part of, that you can find this podcast, the Defining Moments podcast, the Golden Group Strategic Growth podcast, the Oklahoma Media Network podcast panel, that video's on YouTube, and the Media Champions interview, a short interview, but a very interesting interview with a national journalist, with myself, talking about modern media, digital and traditional. So check out those 4 podcasts and videos. Again, you can find all of them in the links in the show notes and our social media today. It's Saturday. We're in the office. I appreciate you guys each and every time. Thanks for listening. Stream, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a review, share with a friend. Make sure you get your Saturday Morning Hustle, Coffee and Donuts, Entrepreneur AF swag. If you want to get some DM podcast swag, check them out online as well. They make great stuff as well. Shout out to Wong and Margie for the interview and the t-shirt and the cutting board and all the other gifts. They like to trade gifts with their podcast guests. I appreciate that very much. Make sure you follow on social media, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and the Facebook fan page. Make sure that you never miss an episode, including the Professional Balance series. Next Monday will be the last Monday of the month. There will be a new episode up. So be looking for a new episode Professional Balance on the last Monday of this month, on the last Monday of every month. It's Saturday. We're in the office, coming in early, staying late, earning it on the weekend. If you need any of those show notes, if you need any of the swag, if you need any of the past episodes, it's all at SaturdayMorningHustle.com. See you next week.
Saturday Morning Hustle. Saturday Morning Hustle. Saturday Morning Hustle. Wake up and keep chasing your dreams.